That's where they We're going back to Civil War times. Yeah, they would. You know, that's the way they fought when they had exposed for a year or so. I know where that's at.
We good?
Yes, member Rosen's
Okay, great. Good morning. My name is Paul Wiedefeld. I'm the chairman of the Maryland Transportation Authority Board. I hereby call the meeting of the MDTA Board to order at 9 a.m. This morning, we're having our meeting in person at MDTA headquarters, and in accordance with the live streaming law, this meeting is being live streamed on the MDTA Board webpage. I would like to say welcome to the members and staff who are with us today, and for the record, I'd like to state that member Jeffrey Rosen is joining us today via conference call. At this time, let me officially welcome Joey Siegel as MDTA's new executive director. Earlier this month, the board selected Joey to serve as executive director following Will Pines being named as the administrator of the Maryland State Highway Administration. Joey's experience as MDTA's chief operating officer, in addition to his 2 decades serving SHA in many operational roles, lastly as SHA deputy administrator / chief engineer for operations, will ensure a seamless transition for our customers, employees, and industry partners. Welcome, Joey. And Joe, I just want to thank you, obviously, for taking this challenge on. It's a big one, but I know you have the talent to do it, so thank you, sir. In addition, I'd also like to welcome Colonel Lucy Lyles. Is she here yet? No? Okay. But we will be doing a retirement resolution for her later. As a reminder, I'm asking that everyone who is in the room with us this morning to refrain from speaking unless you are presenting or answering a question to avoid background noise on the live stream. There are no members of the public, no elected officials, no media who have pre-registered to comment at this morning's meeting. For those who are watching this meeting via live stream, we have posted the materials for today's meeting at the MDTA board webpage, so you can follow along if you would like. We'll now begin with today's agenda. Item number 1 is the open session minute meetings.
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rosen. The second agenda item is the closed session meeting minutes for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Rosen. Third agenda item is open session meeting minutes of August 9th of 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The fourth agenda item is the closed session meeting minutes of August 9th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Fifth item is the years of service recognition. Joey?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to take a moment and an opportunity in this resolution to recognize now retired Lieutenant Colonel Lucy Lyles of our Maryland Transportation Authority Police. We have a resolution that we'll present her at another time, and I'd like to take a moment to go through Lieutenant Colonel Lyles' career here with the MDTA. She began as an MDTA police officer 1 on May 5th, 1993, and continued to progress in her law enforcement field and career by being promoted to MDTA police officer 2 in 94, and then to corporal in 1999, sergeant in 2005, and then lieutenant in 2007. She continued to build on her knowledge, skills, and abilities and was promoted to a police captain on October 24th of 2007, and then again major on March 1st of 2013, and then lastly to lieutenant colonel on December 5th of 2018, a position that she held until her retirement recently this year. She was an invaluable member of our team and our MDTA police committed to mentoring, growing leaders here, both sworn and civilian, and was a key player into the leader effort as a presenter as well as a group facilitator. In fact, she was mine. Her coworkers expressed the fact that her dedication and teamwork will be missed here, and that her smile, warm personality, and her can-do attitude, especially at our leadership roundtable, as well as her helping hand that she extended. On the occasion of Lieutenant Colonel Lyle's retirement from her distinguished career of exemplary service, our chairman and the members of our MDTA board would like to express our sincere appreciation to Lieutenant Colonel Lyles for her excellence and her commitment. So that resolution will be entered here and for the record into the minutes of the MDTA board meeting today, August 31st, 2023, and a copy appropriately framed will be presented to Lieutenant Colonel Lyles as an expression of our MDTA board's appreciation and esteem.
Thank you, sir. 30 years. Wow. That's quite a commitment, so thank her. Moving on to agenda item number 6, contract award for Panasonic Toughbook laptops. Mr. Davis?
Good morning, members. For the record, my name is Jeff Davis, Deputy Director of Procurement with the Division of Procurement here at the MDTA, and I'm here to present a contract for award. The MDTA Department of Information Technology is seeking to enter into a fixed contract for a one-time purchase of 245 Panasonic FZ55 laptops, docking stations, and warranties for use by the Maryland Transportation Authority Police, Maryland Aviation Administration Police, and the Maryland State Police through interagency agreements. The total amount of this contract is $1,028,244.60. This was procured as a small business reserve through the I always get this mixed up. The Office of State Procurement's desktop, laptop, and tablet 2015 master contract. So we sent it out to, I believe it was 5 master contractors. We received 2 bids. The low bid was from USC Canterbury Corp., who we've had successful hardware purchases from in the past. This contract had no MBE goal due to the single element of work, and the price was 0.19% below our estimate of $1,030,245. So pricing was right on the money.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Davis?
Is there a warranty on the laptops?
Yes, we are purchasing the warranty in this contract.
Thank you.
A motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I believe I have an update item for everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You want me to go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So this is our open contracts, our quarterly open contracts update report. So I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you. If you need me to repeat anything, just let me know. Currently, the MDTA has 212 open contracts. 16 of them are MOUs, totaling $26.9 million. We have 77 A&E contracts, totaling $849,500,000. We have 39 construction contracts, totaling $1.7 billion. We have 24 maintenance contracts totaling $29.9 million. Services contracts, we have 23 totaling $43.7 million. And IT contracts, we have 33 totaling $154.9 million for a total of $2,815,665. Let me quote that. Let me repeat that. $2,852,000. Good Lord, it's such a big number. I keep screwing it up. Please forgive me. $2,815,665,493.10. Of that total, we have paid to date $1,678,817,127.42. On the open POs, we have a remaining balance due of $735,104,755.61. And open contracts, these are uncommitted funds on a contract which have not been PO'd, that we've not received invoices or POs for. It's $361,743,610.05. Any questions on those details?
Question? Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you so much.
Next agenda item is the debt policy. Mr. Garment?
So our debt policy is required to be reviewed annually by the board. We have one minor change this year. It was a function of a budget initiative, and so we like to incorporate those items in the debt policy as a good reminder of reporting requirements. So in policy statement 13, I added a section that would remind us to send over our rating agency reports to the treasurer's office whenever we have a financing. We spoke with legal about this issue, and we've got no objections to providing notifications of ratings. And we also clarified that we're not required to obtain credit ratings. So there are times when this agency issues debt, and we typically pay for credit ratings. It helps lower our financing costs. But in some cases, we've refinanced with bank loans and haven't had to obtain credit ratings. So in those cases, we wouldn't be forwarding them. I just wanted to highlight a few of the basic tenets of the debt policy. In section 1, we have state law references. Our unrestricted cash target at $350 million is in section 5. The debt limit is in section 9, and that's a function of state law. It's set at $3 billion. The debt service coverage target is also included in this policy. Our level debt service goal. And there are other sections that touch on credit ratings, and the policy has to be required, is required to be approved at least annually. Just a couple of key points is the debt service coverage goal of 2 times is set by the board, and along with the unrestricted cash target, those are really the 2 most important elements to help us maintain, the highest possible credit ratings. And the purpose of that is to, essentially be able to finance at the lowest possible cost. So that allows us to have, a lot larger capital program than if we were consuming all those dollars in debt service. So I guess I would open it to questions, and if there are no questions, we're seeking annual approval of the debt policy.
Any questions or comments? Okay.
So moved.
if not- Is there a second?
Member,
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Agenda item number 9, Mr. Garman, the quarterly review of investment strategy.
Great. This is our normal quarterly review. We follow this board agenda item with our finance committee meeting agenda, which is a bit more detailed. The key points are that the investments conformed to the investment policy limitations during the quarter, and the longer duration strategies employed in certain reserves generate higher return volatility with expected higher average annual returns over multi-year periods. Our portfolio structuring by account adhered to all board-approved strategy and should remain consistent despite the short-term volatility associated with the rising rate environment. And we're not recommending any changes in strategy or benchmarks at this time. The agency employs either a matched funding or total return approach to the investment portfolio. Our longer-term strategies are permitted by the trust agreement, and we utilize those for certain reserves that don't have any cash flow needs. Given that our unencumbered cash balance will be held for very long term, this long-term approach is prudent, and it's supported by our finance committee. A bit more detail, we have a $990 million portfolio at the end of June. Approximately $640 million of that is invested on a match funding basis. So those are investments that are essentially matched to our capital program and our debt service payments, and they're typically less than 1-year maturities. The other $350 million that's in our long-term reserves is managed for total return. So we're, having essentially longer-term portfolios that are subject to quite a bit of market volatility, but they're expected to generate higher average annual returns when you view them over multi-year periods. One of the functions of these longer-term portfolios is they're considered duration targeted, so we maintain a consistent essentially average maturity or average duration. We don't attempt to time interest rate changes or guess where the market's headed. So these duration targeted portfolios require more or less a very consistent approach. Of those two longer term reserves, the general account has an average maturity of approximately 3. It has staggered maturities between 1 year and 5 years. Our smallest reserve account is about 5% of our assets. That's the M&O reserve. It's approximately $50 million. That's has an average maturity of approximately 7.5 years. And we have staggered maturities from 1 year to 15 years. The general account strategy has not changed in many years, and the smaller M&O reserve strategy has been consistent since 2020. With that, I would request that we maintain the current strategies and benchmarks for the upcoming quarter.
Any comments from the Finance Committee?
Mr. Chairman, our consultants, the finance, or the investment committee, the finance committee, all concur with this.
Very good. All right, any questions? Mr. Bowman?
Mr. Chairman, just an additional
Yes, sir.
comment, please. Just in reflecting on what you presented to the Finance Committee and thinking it through from a layman's term perspective, with the inverted yield curve, it would seemingly look attractive to chase the short-term higher rate, but our strategy is one that looks at long-term and to level out to make sure that we're getting the best overall return over a longer period of time. Is that a fair way to look at it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we had the one of the examples that we showed at the Finance Committee was we raised the question, if short-term rates are significantly higher than 5 or 10-year rates, why wouldn't you just shift the portfolio into all 1-year securities? And so we demonstrated that when you looked historically at these Fed tightening cycles where rates are rising, they're typically followed by these declines in rates. The economy starts to slow. That's the whole point of the Fed tightening. Sometimes you run into recession. Generally you do. You don't always. And then what's followed is a rate decline. And so we looked at the shorter term indices and cash compared to slightly longer term indices. And what you find historically is that, at the end of these cycles, the longer term portfolios outperform. You would be in a position of having to reinvest the whole portfolio in a declining rate environment. So that's kind of the most intuitive way to think about it. The other way to think about it is that you have mark-to-market gains in those longer-term portfolios. As rates decline, the value of those bonds goes up, and so we would be missing out potentially on mark-to-market gains. So we looked at several of the last rate increase cycles, and that's what we demonstrated in more detail at the Finance Committee. That's another reason why you don't try to sort of time the market and chase it, is we don't know when the Fed tightening cycle is going to end. We think it's close to the end, but we could be wrong, we could be right. It's probably better to maintain a longer term strategy and think about particularly those big reserves as, we're trying to generate the highest average return over a longer period of multiple years.
Very good. I want to thank the Finance Committee for taking that longer-term view, because I know it's sometimes tempting
Right.
to take a shorter-term view, but the reality is it's good to maintain that, so thank you. All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Aye. Agenda item number 10, investment policy. Mr. Garman as well.
Great. So like the debt policy, the investment policy is required to be reviewed annually. We don't have any changes. We typically make changes, once or twice a year if something changes in the market, but at this point, we haven't seen anything that would warrant a change. I just wanted to highlight a few of the sections of the policy. We have security type limitations and maturity limitations, diversification by issuer and sector. We have reporting requirements back to the board and the Finance Committee, and we're required to immediately basically report any policy violations And in certain situations, if securities are downgraded, we also are required to report those downgrades relatively quickly to the board. A couple of key points is that the MDTA is a little bit unique. We have statutory authority to manage our monies separate and apart from the state. So we have a unique investment policy that's really a function of our trust agreement, so that the legal requirements for our conservative policy are really born out of the trust agreement, and then they're further refined in this document. So there's a lot more detail added in this document about what's permitted. However, I would say that according to the state law, our policy and trust agreement somewhat closely mirror what's in state law. So for the state treasurer's office, they buy very similar investments, very conservative policies, fixed income securities. There's no equities, there's no commodities. They're relatively short-term portfolios as well. So the investment committee generally discusses these items monthly or on a quarterly basis, and then we come back to the board quarterly and to the finance committee as well. I think that really covers everything. I'd love to open it up to questions and see if there are any questions, but we're not recommending any changes to policy at this time.
Okay. Any questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Aye.
All right,
Great.
thank you, Mr. Russell. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Ford.
you.
Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is the MDTA's Insurance Recovery Program update. Mr. Dangerfield?
Good morning, Chairman and members of the committee.
Morning.
For the record, my name is Percy Dangerfield, Chief Administrative Officer for MDTA. And today we're here and very excited to update the committee on our insurance recovery program, which is managed by Ms. Lynn Fry. She's going to walk through the presentation and give everyone sort of a background of what that program is, and more importantly, some of the incredible milestones that she's been able to reach. Before Lynn does her presentation, I also want to acknowledge the leadership of Paul Truntich and Laura Allen, who are the Director and Deputy Director of the Office of Environmental Safety and Risk Management. So it's definitely a team effort. So having said that, I will turn it over to Lynn, please.
Thanks, Percy. Good morning, everyone. I appreciate you letting me present this today. The Asset Control and Damage Recovery Unit, otherwise known as ACDR, we are under the Office of Environment, Safety, and Risk Management, and we administer the insurance recovery program here at MDTA. COMAR gives each state agency the responsibility of taking action to collect on all claims for damage caused to state property. Prior to 2010, MDTA did not have this program. Since then, we developed a program and implemented it throughout the agency. So we seek recovery for costs to various items such as guardrails, jersey walls, light poles, fences, a lot of the tolling equipment. Trucks go by and hit the cameras on the toll facilities, tunnel ceiling tiles, and wall tiles. In 2016, I was able to talk with the Maryland Insurance Administration regarding the fact that when an incident happens on our roadways, our maintenance personnel responds to the scene, and they have costs for labor, equipment, and possibly materials such as dry cleaning for anything that's spilled on the roads. They agreed with me that these costs should be included in our damages for the roadways. So they sent out a bulletin to all of the insurance companies throughout the state telling them that these type of coverages, as long as supported, would be covered under the liability portion of the insurance policy. So we've allowed to include them in a lot of our damage costs. So we have several sources of notification of these damages. They come from the Maryland State Police in the northern region, all the police reports, our MDTA police. Our environmental gives us spill notifications when there's been a hazmat spill on the roadway. And due to the bulletin in 2016, our maintenance personnel, when they go to an accident, they complete a work order and they mark that it's related to an accident. And we run a report every month of all the work orders that are associated to these accidents to include them in the costs. With the cooperation of A lot of the divisions throughout the agency, engineering, construction, we have a guardrail liaison and maintenance. We gather all these costs together to come up with a demand packet. This demand packet includes the police report, any photos, and any of the itemized damages that are included. If the police report has a insurance company listed on it, we contact that insurance company and submit a claim on behalf of MDTA for the damages. If that police report does not have a insurance information, or if the insurance company tells us that that policy is not in effect, we send the same demand packet with a cover letter to the registered owner of the vehicle, asking them for their insurance information. So we are required to give 3 attempts, either through calls or through the demand packets, to get a response from the responsible party. If we do not receive a response from them or get a denial, unfortunately, we have to send this claim to the Central Collection Unit. Paul and Percy will tell you that I do not like to have to send these claims. I like to collect as much money as we can, but that's just the rules that we have to follow. If there's a policy limits issue, such as a $25,000 limit, and we have a claim for $30,000, we do not have the authority to accept that settlement or negotiation. Those claims have to go to the Central Collection Unit as well. When the claim goes to Central Collection Unit, if they accept the settlement, they take a 17% administration fee out of that settlement and send the rest of the money to MDTA. If they go to the insured or the registered owner to collect the money, they also charge a 17% administration fee to that balance. Lots of times the person that has the vehicle does not have insurance for some reason, or they don't want to go through their policy, so we can set up a payment plan for them to pay on up to 3 years, and we send out a promissory note for their signature that was written by our legal department. So once we determine this claim delinquent, we forward these claims to the Central Collection Unit. You'll see on the chart here, just to make one correction, these fiscal year dates are from 2020 through 23 versus 19 to 22. And it shows you the cases that we open each year, how many are closed, and why they are closed. Either a CCU referral, no damage, or claims paid. And then each year, if we don't close a claim within that year, those claims get carried over to the next year. So that's the carryover cases that we show. And then the monies recovered is in the last column, which shows that from 20 through 23, we've almost doubled our recovery rate for claims. So we continue to work hard with this and make all the divisions in MDTA aware of this program, and hopefully continue to move forward and collect more monies. Any questions or?
I do have some quick questions, like with a commercial vehicle and the, say, a multi-vehicle incident, and you say you go to the commercial vehicle, the insurance company for a commercial vehicle, and they deny liability, how does that work?
I'm sorry.
And then I guess if they do pay it, and I guess you allow them to subrogate against the party who is responsible. If they deny liability, I guess.
So, right, so if we receive a denial from the insurance company, then we have to send the claim to Central Collection Unit.
Okay, and does that impact just that vehicle, or does it impact the entire?
That's the entire claim, because we go against the responsible.
The entire business, for example. I wonder if the claim is, with the carrier, meaning the transportation carrier, does that shut them down from?
I mean, I don't know that it shuts them down, but I'm sure it affects their rating with their insurance company, and they could be canceled from their policy. Is that what
I
you're?
guess so. I didn't, okay, yeah, that's it.
Member Von Paris, maybe that's something we can take a deeper dive into and get some follow-up to that.
Okay.
Absolutely, because I definitely see the question that's being asked there. Thank you.
Any other cases?
Sorry, I had one
Oh, I'm
question for
sorry.
you. I'm sorry. So on the monies recovered, that column, is that net of the CCU fee?
No, that's just money that we've recovered here at MDTA without going through CCU.
Okay, so money's recovered. So So actually, so the monies recovered would be increased if we went to the CC, I'm saying.
If we didn't have to send to CCU,
Yeah.
that number would definitely be increased, correct?
Okay, so, no, I'm sorry, I guess I'm not questioning this correctly. So I'm looking at your recovery summary. In the monies recovered, that is the net amount that has been received, because that's already factoring in what has been deducted from CCU.
No, these claims, so none of these claims were taken to CCU.
Oh, none of them.
They were just recovered through our unit.
Oh, okay.
None of these went to CCU. We were able to get with the registered owner or the insurance company and recover these funds directly from them.
Okay, so when I'm looking at the column that says CCU referral,
So, so for instance, in 23, we referred 83 other claims, part of the 449, to CCU for recovery that we were not able to recover on. We either got a denial or a no response.
okay, but once you refer it to CCU, the hope is that something is gonna come back eventually.
That's correct, and that, I believe that goes to finance under delinquent debt. Deb, is that?
Okay, so that's a separate number. All right, well, the good news is, we don't really have to refer that much to CCU.
We're
Pay
trying
that
not to.
70 Yeah, pay
Yeah.
that 17% fee, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Fry, just a few
Yeah.
as well. So basically what that's saying then, if I understand it, is that 1.2 million would actually go up once we get those monies from CCU,
Yes.
the 83%.
Right, they don't come
Okay.
back to our
Gotcha.
unit, but yes, they
Yeah,
come
I
back
got
to
it.
MDTA.
And just two other questions. So I'm assuming this is only for damages, we don't recover labor? Or do we
Yes.
recover labor?
We do recover labor, equipment, and materials,
Okay.
and inspection costs, things
Right.
like that from engineering.
And I know this would be stretching it, but have we ever looked at recovering lost revenue? So for instance, when we shut down a facility and people start going around the toll facility, I know it's a kind of a stretch, but the reality is we're losing those dollars because of this incident. I don't know, maybe something we should think about. And then on the CCU, is that a contract that we hold? Is it a state contract? How's that work?
Through DBM,
It's through DBM. Do we know when that's coming up for selection again, or does anybody know?
So this is state law requires it to go to CCU.
Is
So
it-
you're asking who CCU's vendor is, this is CCU's attorneys and staff that do the collections.
Right, but is that competitively,
Those are state employees and.
there are state employees?
Yes, sir.
And then that 17% then is in some sort of,
That is how CCU funds itself, sir.
yeah. Just trying to get it down.
I know.
Okay, thank you very much. I didn't understand.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
Noted on the lost, oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Member Rosen.
Commissioner Rosen?
Yeah, just one question. So what was the gross amount of the claims against the 1,288,000 that was collected? What did we claim for those claims that were collected? What was the gross amount?
I think he's asking for the gross amount, if this is the net. I don't know if we have that
No,
number.
no, well, this would be the gross amount. This is the total amount of the damages that we sought recovery for,
The 1.2.
the 1.2.
Does that answer your question,
Okay,
Mr. Rosen?
so there wasn't. Yeah, so I was just asking if there was a gross amount, and then once it was recovered, we received a net, a lesser amount. But it sounds like we recovered what we asked for.
Right, right.
We
And those-
did recover all 1,288,000.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, oh yeah, got referred on.
Other money
That's on
referred to
top of that.
CCU.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? Yes. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, noted on the lost revenue potential to look into further. Member Penny Ardinger, with the CCU referral, would a column be helpful if working with Percy and Paul and Lynn of what the CCU referral total costs would be also in addition to that 83 numeric that's there?
Yes,
Okay.
that would be helpful, I would appreciate that, thank you.
Absolutely, and I noted that from our conversation and moving forward, and I would just be remiss if I didn't thank Percy and Paul and Lynn and Laura personally. I'm a big believer in what gets measured gets performed, and I've been watching this track and the trend, and you see our increase in the monies recovered and the number of cases that are closing. So thank you very much.
And just on this revenue loss, the only reason I raised that is when I was at the Metro in DC, we would go after lost revenue due to either projects that had not met, or if we had to close down the system for some reason because of someone else's fault, we would go after the lost revenue. So just so you know, it's
Now,
not
I
unheard
can
of.
say
but-
that we do carry, which I handle as well, excess coverages on our bridges and tunnels,
Mhm.
and those policies do include loss of revenue.
Right, right.
If it's a big.
Right, right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Last agenda item is the Executive Director's Report.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good morning again, members. For the record, I am Joseph Sagel, and I'm pleased to be joining you today as MDTA's Executive Director. I consider it an honor to have been selected for this position, and like my predecessor, Will Pines, I'm committed to serving the MDTA's customers and our employees every single day. All MDTA customers and employees deserve transparency in our actions, our fiscal responsibility, fairness, and safe and reliable transportation services that are second to none. I look forward to working with the board and with the MDTA workforce here to make MDTA's Maryland's premier provider of transportation services. With assuming the position of Executive Director, that left a vacancy here of the Chief Operating Officer. I'm very pleased to inform the board that Mr. Richard Jaramillo was named MDTA's new Chief Operating Officer and assumed that role officially on August 23rd. Richard, joining us with all of our chiefs here in the room for the board today. And for those, he is no stranger to the Maryland Transportation Authority, of course. He has most recently served as administrator of our William Preston Lane Memorial, otherwise known as Bay Bridge facility, and has served in many operations roles within his MDTA career, to include policies, procedures, government and community relations, and capital programs. He most recently served also as acting director of traffic management and technology this past year, as well as acting director of facility operations at times that Mike Rice was acting chief operating officer in our division of operations. Richard's demonstrated very positive and successful leadership as an administrator and as an acting director with a pride and passion for quality, teamwork, consensus building, succession planning, and planning for our teams each day. His leadership roles and experience in local and state government in his career, as well as his experience throughout his career in systems and programming, translate very well as the COO works very, very tirelessly with our Chief Financial Officer, Deb Sharpless, and our tolling steering committee, as well as our entire steering committee on the optimization and continuous process improvement of electronic toll collection here at MDTA. So thank you, Richard, and best wishes to you in your leadership role, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I'm also very pleased to announce that James, otherwise known as Jamie to many, Turner, has been named our acting facility administrator at our Bay Bridge facility. Jamie was the deputy facility administrator most recently at the bridge, and he joined the MDTA in 2000, and he spent his entire career at the Bay Bridge. He has started as a facility maintenance technician, which is very near and dear to my heart, and he's worked his way up through progressively the classification series, promoting to supervisor in 2010, assuming the role of chief facility maintenance officer for 2018, and held that for almost 4 years before his role as deputy administrator. Jamie's a vital member of the Bay Bridge team and the family there each and every day and day-to-day operations for his 2 decades. And we wish Jamie nothing but the best of luck and support as he takes on this acting administrator role. In previous years, let's talk about MACO for a moment. MDTA again participated in the MACO, our Maryland Association of Counties Summer Conference, often referred to again as MACO, and that just took place on August 16th through the 19th. I had the privilege of joining our chairman, who was also there as secretary of the Maryland Department of Transportation, in meetings with our county officials. And our Drive Easy MD outreach team staffed our information table and our outreach that was part of MDOT's larger display of all of our modals in the exhibition hall during the conference. I want to personally thank Member Bill Cox for your support and your presence there, as well as Public Affairs Officer Tim Sheets and Operations Executive Officer Tim Wendt, who were there at the outreach table and being the face of Drive Easy MD at MACO for the Maryland Transportation Authority. The meetings with the counties were very productive and allowed for a very good dialogue ahead of our upcoming CTP tours this fall. While I was attending MACO, unfortunately, I was not able to attend the recent police graduation ceremony, and on August 17th, a ceremony that was held at the Community College of Baltimore County, Dundalk campus, Recruit Class 57 graduated. I want to thank Member Von Paris for being present and representing the Maryland Transportation Authority at the graduation. And these members just completed a demanding academy and a training program that began in January of this year, 2023. 7 new MDTA police officers persevered through the rigorous training program, and those recruits were required to pass academic courses through the Community College of Baltimore County, covering subjects such as criminal law, constitutional law, and completing very significant physical and defensive tactics training during the academy. Recruits also complete classes in first aid, crisis intervention, traffic safety, community policing, de-escalation, as well as other topics in their field. These new officers will be assigned to experienced FTOs, or field training officers, for their additional training, and the FTOs will build on their academy training with real-life practical application of what new officers have learned. I want to add my thanks and appreciation to each and every one of these new MDTA police officers for pursuing a career in public service, one which puts their lives on the line every day. Congratulations, Colonel Anderson, and to the new members of your police force. On Friday, August 18th, a special event occurred in our travel plaza, the Maryland House, was once again a stop on America's 9/11 motorcycle ride. Approximately 400 motorcycle riders rolled in, and a lot of coordination and logistics goes into that event, and for a very, very dear cause each and every year. And we're close to 100 law enforcement officers that were part of that, supporting all, as well as the support personnel on site. I'd like to thank Roxanne Mackay in Operations, Engineer Areas USA, Sirhandi Enterprises, Sunoco, as well as our MDTA police and the JFK Northern Operations Facility leadership and team members. MDTA's professionalism and excellence were on display during the event that day, and I heard several great notable feedback from our participation in that event. I'm pleased to inform the board that for the 10th consecutive year, the MDTA has received a certificate for achievement of excellence in financial reporting for the production of our fiscal 22 annual comprehensive financial report. The certificate is awarded by the Government Finance Officers Association and serves as the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment for MDTA and its management and its financial leaders. I'd like to acknowledge the Division of Finance, Chief Financial Officer Deb Sharpless, and those throughout the agency who work tirelessly to ensure that the financial story of our agency is accurate and communicated in a manner in which it can be clearly understood by a reader. I'd like to specifically acknowledge several members of the finance team for their work on this comprehensive financial report. Vicki Dobbins, the Director of General Accounting, Theodore Williams, the Manager of Financial Reporting, Ken Montgomery, and Alan Garman, as the Deputy Directors of Finance, Chantel Green, our Director of Finance, and again, Deb Sharpless, our CFO. Looking ahead, we got a busy report here. September is going to be an even busier month for our MDTA. On September 13th in the morning from 9 to 1, our Division of Civil Rights and Fair Practices will be hosting a free developmental workshop as part of our Doing Business with the MDTA series continues. Like previous workshops, it will be held at the MDOT headquarters in Hanover, Maryland, in the Harry Hughes Conference Room specifically. Best of all, it's free to attend for our community and for our vendors and those that we do business with, and provides an opportunity for networking with primes, working with our MDTA procurement and civil rights and fair practice officers, learning about resources to assist in growing and strengthening one's business, gain an understanding of our MBE, VSBE, DBE, and SBR programs, and learn about MDTA's upcoming major projects and procurements that are ahead. As of Monday, we have 70 attendees registered. Congrats, Percy, and to the team there. On September 13th, we're also hosting an MDTA job fair and an open house from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at our MDTA Police Headquarters at 4330 Broning Highway. Prospective MDTA team members will have an opportunity to apply on-site and engage in a question and answer session with subject matter experts from multiple divisions of MDTA that will be represented, and current employees that will be their staffing in their field of interest, all while gaining valuable insights into preparing their state applications and mastering both in-person and virtual interview skills. For veterans, understanding that will be an invaluable part of the event as well, too. We are hoping that many career seekers will take advantage of this great opportunity to become part of the team that keeps Maryland moving here at the MDTA. To share our recruitment message, we've included a link in our recent quarterly e-blast out to our EasyPass customers that points them to our website employment page. And as a result of that communication, our team saw more than a 450% increase in visitors to that webpage. September 13th also will be when we present before the Maryland Commission on Transportation Revenue and Infrastructure Needs. And that Commission on Transportation Revenue and Infrastructure Needs was established as part of Senate Bill 24, was approved by our governor on May 8th of 2023. Our commission is tasked with reviewing, evaluating, and making recommendations concerning state funding sources and the structure of the Transportation Trust Fund, methods that other states use to fund state transportation operating and capital programs, short and long-term construction and maintenance funding needs, options for public-private partnerships, and options for sustainable long-term revenue sources for transportation, among other transportation-related funding and planning topics. The Commission must submit an interim report of its findings and recommendations to the Governor and to the General Assembly by January 1st, 2024. A final report is due January 1st, 2025. This will be the Commission's second meeting, and the MDTA's presentation will include a general overview of our governance, facilities, funding structure, and financial outlook. Chief Financial Officer Deb Sharpless and I will be presenting at the Commission that day on behalf of the MDTA. As we informed the board in June when we presented the financial forecast based on our current financial forecast estimates, beginning in fiscal year 2028, a system-wide toll increase will be necessary to maintain 2 times debt service coverage throughout the remainder of that forecast period. Given the inflammatory pressures, toll revenue attainment, mandated operating budget increases, debt issuance costs, and growing unfunded capital needs, the timing and the scale of a toll increase will likely shift in the fiscal 24 to 29 financial forecast to be presented to the board in November for approval. At the September board meeting, we'll be back to share with you more of an update on this topic in the Commission meeting that will be held earlier in the month. Next month, we'll also be hosting 3 open house events for the Chesapeake Bay Crossing Study, Tier 2, as we refer to as part of our continuing process of NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act process. The agency, in coordination with the Federal Highway Administration, is following a well-established and federally required NEPA process to study potential alternatives to provide congestion relief and improve that travel reliability, mobility, and safety across our Chesapeake Bay. The following are dates and times for each open house. Anne Arundel County's open house will be on Thursday, September 7th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Broadneck High School. Queen Anne's County open house will be Tuesday, September 12th from 6 to 8 at Kent Island American Legion Post 278. And we'll also be hosting a virtual open house on Thursday, September 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. There will be no formal presentation at the open houses. However, the study team will be available to answer questions during the in-person and the virtual events. The virtual open house and the study materials can be accessed on the study website at baycrossingstudy.com. I want to thank the outreach team for their continued work with our open houses on that. Thank you, members. This concludes my remarks, and I'm more than happy to provide any follow-ups or answer any questions.
Any questions or comments? Just, if I may, then just 2. One is, the strength of this organization is reflected when you see people come through the organization, whether it's obviously both in terms of Will, in terms of you, Joey, in terms of Richard, in terms of Jamie. I also believe it's important that we look externally, but I think the strength of organization that continues to see this growth, I think, is very reflective of how it's managed by the board. So thank you for that. In terms of the Revenue and Investment Commission, we did present there. I mean, the Toll Authority, again, is going to lay out some of their financial stresses. But just so you understand the financial stresses on the trust fund, in our 6-year program, which we're about to publish tomorrow. Is today the 1st? No, tomorrow is the
Tomorrow.
1st, right? Tomorrow at 12 o'clock tonight, 12:01. But we have a $100 million hole in fiscal year 25 and a $2.1 billion hole in the program period that we've got to address. So that's really what we're facing. A lot of it's around some of our, the same basic pressures we're all under in terms of inflation and cost of delivering what we have. But combined with that is the stress we have on our revenue side, particularly our motor fuel tax, which is going down as cars become more efficient, which is fantastic. But from a financial perspective, does have issues for us. And then the electrification of the fleet. So that's part of what we're looking at long term. How does this trust fund meet the growing and the unmet needs that we have today. So really, that's what that commission's about. The toll authority will be part of that. I think, obviously, everything at the toll authority goes through the board, but I think it's got to be put in context of what transportation in the state of Maryland's facing. So that's one of the reasons we wanted the toll authority to present there, and also that if people start to look at the toll authority as some sort of funding mechanism, we have our own issues, right, that we have to deal with. So I just wanted you to keep informed of that, and I'll keep you informed, you know, as we meet on that issue. And I wanted to thank our friends that did come to Mako and share their different their needs, and I thought it was a very good conversation. If you've never been to Mako, it's a great event, except if you happen to be in the Department of Transportation, where you sit for 3 days, 8 hours each day, in a closed room and meet with every jurisdiction in the state and learn of their needs, which is actually it's very good from a relationship building, but it's kind of tough to be sitting in a room with no windows for 24 hours. But no, but I thank you. I mean, you can comment. I mean, obviously, you know, being part of that from that side, I think it's an excellent opportunity for us to hear the issues and then also to share, you know, some of the challenges that we face together.
And it also helps with project prioritization.
Right.
So we can really talk about which projects we feel more passionately about moving forward over others, because typically in the letter, we give you everything in the kitchen sink.
Right.
Then at that meeting, we get to kind of scale up what's most important.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate that. And related to prioritization, a very large focus of the Revenue Investment Commission is how do we prioritize projects in the state? Because obviously we'll never have enough dollars. And given the current stresses on the trust fund, you know, is it time to rethink that a bit as we rethink the entire trust fund revenue mechanisms that we have? I mean, that's been around almost 50 years now. Both the process and the funding sources, and the world's changed dramatically, and we need to take a hard look at both of those issues. So, any other questions or comments? Great. All right, so at this point, the agenda is complete. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. This now concludes the meeting for the MDTA Board at 9:50 a.m. Thank you, Mr. Rosen.